This fall, I'm excited to enjoy one of Philly's most walkable neighborhoods that goes car-free during Open Streets, West Walnut. On Sundays starting September 7th through October 12th, everyone can shop, stroll, and socialize along 7 city blocks of pedestrian-friendly space in Center City, including sections of West Walnut and 18th Streets. There's going to be outdoor dining, live entertainment, and retail promotions. It's really a peaceful way to enjoy this expansion of public space. For more details, head over to centercityphila.org/open streets. For more details, head over to centercityphila.org/open streets. It's the Friday News Roundup. We're talking about some good news. SEPTA cuts reversed, but you're still going to pay more to ride. And if you're driving instead of riding, slow down. Speed cameras are now on Broad Street. And judicial retention. Yeah, we'll explain what those words mean because you're going to be hearing them for the next 2 months. It's Friday, September 12th. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Joining me this week is CityCast Philly executive producer Matt Katz. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Trenae.
We're over here at the Fiddler Club drinking coffee and talking about
this week in the news. I mean, the big thing was SEPTA. It sort of anticlimactic, right? We were like hemming and hawing over this thing, whether we were going to lose all this SEPTA service. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, no, we figured it out.
We've got some money somewhere.
Yeah.
We still don't have a budget. So here's a quick review of what has happened. The Pennsylvania budget has been delayed for 73 days because Republicans and Democrats cannot agree on how much money to spend and what to spend it on. And because of that, SEPTA hasn't received state funds. It says it needs to fill its over $200 million deficit. Okay, so then SEPTA had to make cuts. And on August 24th, the transit agency cut 20% of service, eliminated 32 bus routes. We saw all the signs posted at bus stops, and they threatened even more cuts in the coming months. But now, after days of students being late for school, people showing up to work late or not even at all, crowded buses, SEPTA and Governor Josh Shapiro announced they have found money, so they will restore service this Sunday and Monday. This money has nothing to do with the state budget, so they don't have to wait on that.
Right.
But the price for fares will increase, and this is a 21.5 fare increase. So It used to be $250, now it's going to be $290.
But all the other service cuts are reversed. Governor Shapiro announced that $394 million would be moved from a fund reserved for capital projects to operations. So they're basically taking money that was going to be used to make stations more accessible, to put new trolleys online, to replace old regional rail trains, and use that money to restore service.
So you mean to tell me this whole dance that we just did basically also will continue to delay improvements to the system that we've all been crying out for?
Yeah.
Accessibility, like you just mentioned, new cars and buses and trains and all that stuff.
Right.
That's out the window, but we're giving you service and we're also increasing the fare.
And the Inquirer had an editorial which they made all of those points that you just made and said the decision to shift capital funding to save operations does not prevent the collapse that transit leaders have been warning about for years. It simply delays it. They say that basically we have bigger and deeper cuts coming in 2 years when this money runs out.
Here's an idea. I don't know if this is wild. I am not a city planner.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Whatever you think. We're out of other ideas. So
I know. I'm going to just throw this on the table, okay, and see what happens. Could we get money or a new source of revenue from all of the celebrations of next year?
Right. Take a piece of 2026 celebrations, whether that be hotels or
hotels and
Ubers.
all sorts of things. Because we're rolling out the red carpet for the world next year on several different events.
Right. I mean, that seems to make sense, but it also seems that the legislature is unwilling to find new revenue streams to use for SEPTA. I mean, they could legalize cannabis today and just tax it and give a piece of that tax to public transit agencies throughout the state. They could legalize those gaming machines in the bodegas and the gas stations and tax that. But Republicans who control the state Senate seem unwilling to just create a new revenue stream dedicated to public transit. So, I mean, yeah, it does seem to me that there is revenue available if the legislature wanted to tap into it. This is what Governor Shapiro said when he made the announcements.
This plan will preserve service for about 800,000 Pennsylvanians for the next 2 years. Look, we have seen how critically important SEPTA is for years and years and years, but particularly over the last couple of weeks after some of their cuts went into effect. Folks were struggling to get to work and wondering how they were going to get to their destination, get their families where they needed to go. 63% of Philadelphia schools saw increased late arrivals and 50% saw higher absenteeism. I must tell you that really tugged at me. And in my conversations with Superintendent Watlington, it was just clear to me that is not something we can allow to continue.
I mean, excuse me for being a little bit cynical, but did they not know that they could tap into this fund when kids were literally not getting to school on time or not going at all because of SEPTA cuts?
I know. It's...
Why were the kids used in some way, apparently, as maybe a negotiation pawn that didn't work? I mean, I don't understand why kids were smashing themselves onto these buses or not getting onto the buses at all, why absentee rates skyrocketed in the first week of school because of this, apparently, why that had to happen before they found this pot of money that they decided they could use.
Or that... and folks basically being in a chokehold situation where they're like, do I have to buy a car?
Right.
God, like, I don't have any, like, reports of that, but what if, like, had to, like, you know, sign your name on the dotted line on a basically predatory situation because you were like, oh, my God, I'm not going to have a way home and work and getting around town. So because let me just hurry up and buy this car real quick.
Right, because you were listening to politicians and elected officials and SEPTA officials who were saying we're in a crisis and all of these cuts are going to happen. You were seeing the signs at your bus stop. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen in 2 years when we're out of money again and these same officials, these same politicians are on the TV, are on our podcast saying that there's a crisis here and service cuts are going into effect? Won't people be like, yeah, bullshit. Come on. You told me that 2 years ago and then you found the money. So, I mean, I'm glad they found the money. I'm glad services is restored, obviously. But I do think there's been damage to the public's trust in government over this whole ordeal. And that's not the kind of thing that goes away. That's just the kind of thing that makes people more and more cynical about how our government works. And I don't really understand how and why it all played out this way.
Right.
Well, listen, if you did buy a car because you were freaked out about SEPTA getting defunded, some more bad news.
You got to slow down on Broad Street.
That's right.
Because the cameras are there. The cameras are coming. So the city and PPA, Philadelphia Parking Authority, announced this week that they are expanding the speed camera program that's already on Roosevelt Boulevard to Broad Street and a part of Old York Road. The cameras go live on Monday, September 15th. The speed limit, 25 miles per hour. That seems so slow to me for Broad Street.
Yeah.
You know, and I do understand about safety and all that stuff, but I feel like that's a little too slow.
Well, listen, you don't get a ticket unless you go 36.
That's right. Here's the breakdown. $100 if you drive between 11 to 19 miles per hour over the speed.
36 to 44.
Okay. $125 if you do 20 to 29 miles per hour over.
That's 45 to 54.
Okay. And $150 in fines if you drive 30 or more miles per hour.
I mean, 55 on Broad is
That's
nuts.
insane. That's actually insane.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, a $150 ticket isn't actually enough for that. That's too much.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, you can't go that fast. There's lights. So there's only so fast you can go.
But 25 miles is like the speed limit in a quiet, residential,
totally.
Block.
Totally. But, stats show that speed cameras are effective in keeping our streets safer. They have apparently been quite successful on Roosevelt Boulevard. 95% drop in speeding and a 30% drop in crashes since they put speed cameras on Roosevelt Boulevard, which has always been more of a raceway than Broad Street.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mayor Parker said that 64 people have died in traffic crashes on Broad Street, which is the impetus behind this. And that's just in the last 5 years. And that surprised me. That's a high number. That's really tragic. So you're going to have to, keep it under control.
I think there's a song, Drive Slow, Homie. Drive Slow, Homie. Listen, so initially, like on Monday, if you do go over the limit, you'll be sent a warning in the mail. So the tickets will start to be enforced on Friday, November 14th. That does not mean that, hey, you've got time. No, slow down. We've got more news after the break. The Pottery Spottery, a paint-your-own pottery studio, is now open. The studio is located at 1805 East Passyunk Avenue. It's fun and easy. Simply choose an item to paint, like a gnome, a mug, a unicorn, or a flower pot. You can choose your favorite colors and then paint. They have over 100 items to choose from, starting at just $15. One price includes time in the studio, everything you need to create, and firing of your masterpiece in their kiln. The Pottery Spottery fires your creation for you, so don't worry about that. You don't need a reservation, and you can actually reserve their large back room for parties. The grand opening is Friday, September 12th. Learn more at thepotteryspottery.com. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Kidney cancer is one of the most common types of childhood cancer. The Kidney Center Association is committed to creating awareness and raising funds for research to find a cure through Chalk Your Walk. Kids, artists, and anyone with a heart for kids can raise awareness for childhood kidney cancer by chalking up their pavement with messages of hope. Find out more at chalkyourwalk.org. Let's head over to Kensington. The city's health department unanimously approved a regulation relating to Councilmember Ketsi Lozada's mobile services ban in Kensington. And so basically, the health department will oversee a permitting process for all mobile medical providers. Mm-hmm. We got to go through the background. So in May, Mayor Sherrell Parker signed a law that imposed strict limits on these mobile services. So these are like vans and trucks that provide wound care, addiction treatment, maybe clothes and food to folks out there.
And the reason why there was concern about these mobile services, I mean, on the face of it, this sounds good, right? They're out there helping people. But the reason why there were issues with it and the reason why the local council member wanted to regulate it and restrict it and limit it is because these mobile service providers were at least indirectly harming the quality of life of the community at large. That was the argument. And it basically turns Kensington into this like open air medical facility for people experiencing addiction and perhaps even attracting people experiencing addiction to certain corners, even to the neighborhood. And then that in turn puts a burden on kids who are just trying to walk to school. And they're, encountering people, they're coming to contact with people who are living on the margins that might be perceived to be dangerous. It leads to needles on the ground. That was the argument that was made, that it was these mobile service providers were kind of perpetuating this idea of Kensington as a destination for drug users or people in recovery.
Okay, so the city's health department has now stepped in and they gave like a regulation framework on how these services or these mobile providers could work in Kensington. And so if you have to apply for a permit, right? And you have to show proof that you have a healthcare license, the intent of your care, and patient and employee policies.
The most recent data, by the way, that we have on the overdose crisis, the drug crisis in Philadelphia, is relatively positive. Back in April, the health department said that Philly saw a 7% decrease in overdose deaths in 2023, and then a further decrease in 2024, although we don't have the official data on that just yet. And so, we are hopefully moving in the right direction in that regard.
You can read more about this story in Kensington Voice. All right, we've got an election to talk about in less than 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's nothing sexy. There's no major candidates on the ballot.
But it's important to talk about.
It's so important to talk about. It's called the judicial retention election. This is going to be the most important race on the ballot in Philly in November. And basically, if you've never heard of judicial retention, I don't blame you because it is unusual. Most other states don't have such a thing. And it's also ignored, generally speaking, but not this year. And that's because the state Supreme Court is under Democratic control. And there are 3 Democrats on this court that are up for retention. So basically, they won in 2015. They won seats on the state Supreme Court. And then the law says then 10 years later, they go before voters and voters decide whether to retain them, to keep them on the court. And it's just a yes or no on the ballot. So you look at these 3 names and you're like, yes, keep them on, or no.
So I'm assuming there's some politics involved in this.
Don't you know it? Democrats narrowly control the court. They have the narrow majority. And Republicans really want these seats. And as a result, there's what political watchers say is an unprecedented effort with a lot of money to get these justices kicked off the court. Here is an ad that a Republican group is already running on Facebook.
Democrats weaponized the courts against President Trump before. Now Pennsylvania's radical judges want 10 more years of unchecked power. We voted by mail in 2024, and we won. Show up again. Request your ballot today. Vote no in November.
Why was Trump thrown in there?
Yeah, well, they're trying to activate the base.
Oh, I see.
And the issues that the state Supreme Court deal with are very much related to national issues. So a couple more controversial decisions that Republicans don't like that have been handed down by this court relate to mail-in ballots. So last year, the court ruled that mail-in ballots rejected for technical reasons can still be cast as provisional ballots. So even if you make a mistake in terms of putting it in the wrong envelope or whatever, they will still accept those votes, and Republicans did not like that. That was considered a defeat for the state and National Republican Party, who said the ballots should have just been rejected. And the court also has dealt with gerrymandering, and they will continue to have to deal with gerrymandering. So that's when maps for legislative districts are drawn in a way that favors one party or another. And we are such a divided state, as we've seen with SEPTA and the fact that we don't even have a state budget yet because the state House of Representatives is controlled by Democrats, the state Senate's controlled by Republicans. So we're incredibly divided politically, the state. So the Supreme Court in our state has powers in terms of determining the constitutionality of these maps. And these maps can really affect who controls the legislature, which party sends more members to Congress from Pennsylvania. So that is a huge deal. And Republicans would like control of the court, certainly for those purposes.
Matt, who are these judges?
So you got Christine Donahue, Kevin Doherty, and David Wecht. And the judges, and this is kind of unprecedented, they're sort of pushing back. They're not outright campaigning for their jobs. But this week, they did appear at a Committee of 70 forum, Committee of 70. We've had them on the show before. They're the Good Government watchdog group. These 3 Supreme Court justices appeared at this forum in Philly, and they talked about their jobs. Donahue said that, quote, our personal opinion, our personal views, our political views, our religious views are left on the wayside when we're ruling on issues. Quote, they have absolutely nothing to do with the manner in which we can decide cases and do decide cases. So they're saying we're not political. Don't wrap us up in all this Trump stuff or whatever else it may be. We're doing what's best for everybody in the Commonwealth. And Justice Wecht also said that the 7 justices on the court have a wonderful relationship. He said, quote, we have dinner together every time we get together for an argument session, meaning not they don't get together and have an argument session, meaning an argument session for the cases that are before them. He said when they have dinner, they don't talk about the cases at all. We talk about family stuff, what's good on TV, and we just have fun. So they're portraying this Pennsylvania State Supreme Court as the one place in America where partisan politics don't matter and they just do what's good for the people. Are you skeptical?
I think it's just interesting how in Pennsylvania we have Democrat and Republican judges, period.
Yeah, I mean, other states, the Supreme Court justices are nominated by the governor, and then the legislature has to affirm the appointment. But yeah, we elect judges here, and the fact of the matter is, most people have no idea like what cases.
How can you judge the judge?
It's very difficult. We've talked about this on the show before. It is a burden that's placed on voters that's pretty hard. So the result is that people do what their respective parties tell them to do. So you get a flyer from the Philly Democrats telling you to vote yes on the retention. If you're a Philly Democrat, you're going to vote yes to keep these guys in the court. If you see a Facebook ad from a Republican group and you're a Republican and you see Trump in there, you're going to vote against retention. And that's probably how this thing is going to shake out.
All right, we'll be back after this break. For me, mornings are chaos. Getting the kids ready for school, squeezing in a 4-mile walk before my production meeting, grabbing my Huel Black Edition saves my mornings. I used to get hangry and reach for several cups of coffee before, but now I actually feel satisfied and on my game in the mornings. Fall is coming up. School and work are ramping up. Life is busy for all of us. I get it. You get it. Time is tough to come by, especially to get a meal that helps you towards your goals. Fortunately, Huel gets it too. It's spelled Huel. Their Black Edition powder is a complete meal, so you feel full, focused, and ready for the day. At less than $3 per meal, it's packed with 40 grams of plant protein and 27 essential vitamins and minerals. No added sugar, it's gluten-free, tastes great, with flavors like vanilla, salted caramel, and chocolate. Plus, it keeps me full for hours. It's perfect for breakfast, lunch, or post-workout. And just when you thought Huel had everything covered, they've just dropped a first-of-its-kind super greens drink in a can. It's called the Huel Daily Greens Ready to Drink. Forget the powders, forget the pills. There's no mixing, no mess. It's quick and convenient without compromising nutrients. It's sparkling and it comes in flavors like blueberry, apple, and peach. 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods. Only 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, 1 gram of sugar. Made by dietitians. Try Huel with 15% off for new customers today using my code Philly at Huel.com/Philly. Fuel your best performance with Huel today. All right, we got to talk about sports.
Okay.
Kyle Schwarber hit his 50th homer this week. Yay! But Matt, I know you don't care because you're a Mets fan.
I'm a Mets fan. That's a result of growing up in Queens in the 80s. I saw the home run in person because I was at the game. I was at 2 Phillies-Mets games this week. The Phillies won both of the games that I was at, so I brought the Mets bad luck, apparently, or I brought the Phillies good luck.
But you told me that you got to catch some balls.
I Karen'd the hell out of everybody in my section. We got 3 balls.
Now, when
3
you
balls.
say you Karen, that basically you're referring to the Phillies Karen that
Right.
everyone's been talking about this week.
Yeah.
This was the Phillies fan who stole a ball from a South Jersey resident named Drew Fetwell, who was trying to get a ball for his son, Lincoln, on his 10th birthday at the Phillies Marlins game last Friday. All right, so fast forward, what has unraveled? Everyone saw this on the big screen.
Yeah.
Everyone shared this video on social media. They're calling this woman Phillies Karen. Blowout Cards, which is a trading card retailer, they were like, hey, we'll give you $5,000 for the ball that you took, and then you have to write, I'm sorry on it, and we're going to give it back to the kid, Lincoln,
Oh, my God.
who also got some merch from Phillies
He got merch.
Harrison Bader.
He got merch from the Marlins because they were playing down in Florida. The game was in Florida. So he got merch from the Marlins, and then he got a bat from Phillies Harrison Bader, who's the one who hit the ball that the Phillies Karen stole from the boy. So I did not, for the record, steal any balls, and nobody stole balls from us. But there was a bit of a scrum at one point because the balls that we got were tossed to us by the left fielders. The first ball was tossed to us from Mets left fielder Brandon Nimmo, and I gave that one to my son. The second ball, I didn't want to get into any trouble by, not giving it to my son. That's what you do now, apparently.
Okay.
No,
so that's
what
the
you-
gesture. You give it to a kid
Yeah,
that's
you give it to
nearby.
a kid, for sure. So I gave it to my son. The next ball was tossed to us again after a catch by Brandon Nimmo because we were in Mets gear and nobody else around us was in Mets gear.
You guys were the two people in the
Right.
blue Mets t-shirts.
Yes, and we were yelling for his name after he caught the ball. So he heard us, so he tossed me the ball. And then this one I actually caught barehanded. I was very impressed. Even my son said, "Good catch, Dad." So that made
Are
my
your
day.
hands like
Yeah, they're
burning,
a little stinging
tingling?
still. So that ball my son gave to his buddy who was with us. So that was nice. And then a third ball my son caught with his glove, and that came from Philadelphia Phillies outfielder Weston Wilson. And he caught that with his glove. And then my son gave it to the guy behind us, an adult man. I thought that was very sweet.
That is sweet.
And the guy said, I'm going to give this to my son at home.
Oh,
So it really kind of
God.
continues.
Yes.
And then the guy told my son that he has good energy.
That is good energy.
Isn't that good energy?
Well, you know what was not good energy was the spitting that the whole world heard last Thursday.
Yeah, that was nuts.
That was crazy. I'd never seen anything like that
I
before.
know. We are moments away from opening kickoff to start the season.
We are coming from a Super Bowl high.
Yeah.
We are the top dogs in this, And Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter spits on Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. And I mean, as an Eagles fan, I'm not a baseball fan as much as I am an Eagles fan. I'm like, no, he didn't.
But then it turned out.
But then it turned out Dak spit.
Yeah.
But his loogie went down to the ground.
Yeah, he did more of a looking at you, I'm
Yeah.
spit while looking at you situation, whereas Jalen did the spitting
Very direct.
on Dak.
So Carter was ejected from the game. He had to forfeit his paycheck, $57,222. Ouch. But I do. I was like, he apologized. And we will see him playing in Sunday's game against the Chiefs.
The week 1 game qualified served as the suspension. Exactly right.
Yep. So if you're watching the game, you might have to change your plans if you're planning to go to Iron Hill Brewery because they're closing 3 locations in our region. And I was actually sad by this. I like Iron Hill Brewery.
Yeah, me too. I didn't read what happened. Why are they closing?
Basically, company changes. You want to focus on some other restaurants, a
Business.
sign of the times. So they're going to close that Chestnut Hill one on Germantown Avenue. There's one on Main Street in Newark, Delaware, and they're closing the location in Voorhees, New Jersey. Anyway, Matt, what are you doing this weekend?
I have so much kids sports.
I'm getting dogged. by youth sports. Okay.
All right, who's got more this weekend? I got softball practice for my daughter, football practice, flag football practice for my son, and 2 baseball games. That's just on Saturday.
You got me beat.
What do you got?
I have to be up at the crack of dawn he's got to be dressed on the field at 9 a.m. on Saturday.
That's too early for a Saturday.
What the heck? Hello? I could do a 10 a.m. That's more reasonable. But at 9? Come on now. I got to drag kids out the bed.
But it's very healthy to get that early morning sunshine on your face. In the fall, it's going to be lovely out, I think. You'll be happy you're outside once you're there.
Yeah.
And then you'll be
I'll be
cheering
sitting
him
in my
on.
chair, drinking my coffee. It's fine.
He's going to get a pick 6. You're going to be screaming your
yeah.
butt off. It'll be great.
If you need some more ideas, I'm already looking at Siani Cologne, our Hey Philly newsletter editor. She came up with a great list of events for this weekend, and it's a lot going on in the city on Saturday. So head over to philly.citycast.fm and make sure you subscribe to our newsletter too.
Definitely.
All right, before we go, we got to shout out our CityCast Philly neighbors. Pew, 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 pew. One day we'll get some real music. I'm so excited for Tamar is our new neighbor. Welcome, Tamar.
Thanks for joining us, Tamar. It's great.
As a CityCast Philly neighbor, you'll get great perks like merch, invites to our member-only events, and I'll shout out your favorite business or nonprofit on the show. And Tamar wants to shout out Beth Zion, Beth Israel, a great welcoming synagogue in Center City. And if you're looking for a place for the high holidays this year, check them out.
Beautiful synagogue, BZBI, they call it.
Thanks, Matt, for joining me at the Filler Club for another Friday News Roundup.
I hope all of your youth sports this weekend end in victory. And the Eagles.
Thanks, Matt. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. Our executive producer is Matt Katz. Our producers are Abby Fritz and Selena Say Reynolds. Our Hey Philly newsletter editor is Siani Cologne. And our host is me, Trenae Nuri. Music is by Philly's own Interminable, with additional music from all the kimonos. If you enjoyed this week of episodes like our South Street series, please share that with a friend. Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Philly. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend and be safe, y'all. Bye.